Hey guys, Gabriel here from Serial Killers. We got the design director from Hangar 13, and we're talking about Mafia 3. In the presentation, we got a good portion of the story and story focus on the game. Could you go into detail? What will players explore or see in the world beside the story missions?
So, for one, we want to make sure that anything that happens in the crime, like in Marcano's crime family, pretty much is modeled all the way down to the street level, right? So any sort of backyard you might go into, for example, as you're going through the city, is usually going to show you some sort of criminal activity, which in some shape or form then kicks back up into the actual crime family. So today we saw Tony, for example. He's like the bookkeeper for the entire mafia, and he has this construction racket where he's like swindling the city. So as you're going into one of these backyards, you're actually going to see those guys actually committing the crimes. So the entire city itself is actually very much populated with story relevant stuff. On top of that, then we're going to, and playing that actually makes you feel like you're driving forward the actual story underneath. Beyond that, of course, we're going to have collectibles. We're going to have Playboy again in this game. And what's really nice about this one is that we don't just have the pictures this time on the covers. We actually have some licensed articles as well. So we are set in the 60s, right? It's a really interesting time in American history. So actually being able to read some interviews and articles and stuff from the time as you're finding these kind of things and getting some more perspective on things is really interesting. We're going to have optional side activities. We see Vito in the background, for example, who comes back from Mafia 2. So one of the questions everybody has, including Vito, is what happened to Joe. So he's going to be one of your underbosses, and you actually have to keep him happy as you're going through the story, because he's one of three people who is vying for control over the city, or trying to. You pretty much promised all three of them that they're going to run the city in the end, and that's something you have to reconcile. But if he's happy with you and you want to do him a favor, you might go out and help him find out what happened to Joe. We have Cassandra. All of these guys have these kind of personal stories where you can actually discover this kind of stuff. Cassandra might have some wheat flying in from Cuba, so as you're going into the bayou, like the swamp around the city, you might be collecting that for her and delivering it, which then raises her earn because she can sell that on the street. She's actually going to kick up money to you. That's going to help you as you're doing things.
So in terms of Mafia 2 or the previous titles, what can fans of the older titles expect?
We're very much making sure that the old virtues of Mafia 1 and 2 are still present in this game, right? So it's going to be a really good story. It's told very cinematically. We're going to have really good cutscenes. It's done by all the same people who did this, in the old games. So it's going to be a very well told story. Then I think Mafia games are really good about putting you in a time and place. And in Mafia 1, you actually knew what it was like to live in the 30s in that city, and then in Mafia 1 and Mafia 2, hey, it's the 40s and 50s. So this time we're actually going into the 60s, and I think and we're going to New Orleans. Like our version is called New Bordeaux, which is this really interesting city. It's almost like out of a dream, because everybody I think has seen something of the city, but hasn't quite been there. It hasn't really been in a lot of games. So you're going to find out a lot about what it was like to live in the 60s, what this kind of city was like, and I think you're just going to get perspective. And then made sure, of course, we have really good missions, right? Like this story that we're telling needs to be supported by really good missions as you're going after guys. We really have very good vehicles again as you're driving around. One thing we wanted to do better than the last game, where we felt like there was a little bit of improvement, was just then integrating the open world a little bit more. Very much the way we just talked about it, right? Making sure that it's not just Mafia because there's a story mission here or there, but it's Mafia because there really is this crime boss, Sal Marcano, and all of his Mafia operations can actually be found as evidence of it across the entire city. There's an actual ecology to it. There's actually people interacting and committing those criminal activities.
Do you have plans on any fun activities like in, for example, GTA, or is it just serious stuff like realistic missions? Or
everything we're trying to do is going to be integrated into the story in some shape or form. It's really important for us to stay true to the franchise, which was very much about, hey, here's a really good story, here's a really good experience with really interesting characters. And you don't feel like you're just losing yourself, or you get a little bit off, go a little bit off base, because here's the story that is really important to these characters and you're just doing other things in the world. So we're making sure that there's a lot of stuff to do, but it's always very much in the service of actually driving that story forward and making sure you get the best Mafia experience that you can get.
So maybe as last question, what would you say is your personal favorite part of the whole game?
Of the stuff, especially we've shown, so people get some good idea. I really like the new trailer that we have at this Gamescom, and because for one, it's giving you, I think, a much better idea of why things are the way they are in the story. We're showing how the fallout between the Italian mob and the black mob happens. At least we're giving you just a little bit of a hint at it, because this is it's representative of the first couple of hours or so. But what I really like, and something that people might not see that much even in this trailer now, is just how well we establish and how well the writers are establishing Lincoln's family, like the black mob around Alice and Sammy, his father James as well, and then Lincoln. I actually got goosebumps when I saw everybody on stage, right when we did the mocap shoot. We had all the actors together and acting stuff out. But then actually seeing that come alive in the game is really cool. There's a real chemistry there. There's a reason why people are doing things. They're actually feeling for it. You might not agree with them all the time, but you very much you're able to have an opinion on it. And that's really important to me, because then as the second part of the game starts, as you're really going on your revenge quest against Marcano, and you buy to take away his mafia operations and build your own family, you're very much on the same page with Lincoln, because you've gone through the same thing as he has.
Thanks for taking your time.